Looks like we started. So, hello everybody. I am Chris Alexander, author of Star Wars Origami, and soon, in October, a second book will be published, Star Wars Origami 2. Here is the book. Available wherever books are sold. This is a used copy, sorry about that, but it's 17 bucks at full price. You can find it on Amazon a little cheaper. Comes with all the directions to make 36 projects. Got special paper in the back. I'm showing an example of that today when we do the Jedi Starfighter and the holocron. And there's my cheap plug. So the other plug will be for Make-A-Wish Foundation. We are doing the whole Forcefest thing and raising money for Make-A-Wish. So please donate. Whatever you can helps. If you donate through Get Vocal, they will match 33% of whatever your donation is. So there you go for that. Also, there will be a hidden Easter egg in the broadcast. Whoever finds this Easter egg or figures out this Easter egg or trips across it will get a free copy of my book, autographed and personalized. So with that being said, we will move on to the project that we're working on today. We are working on part 2 of the Jedi holocron, which comes with a secret where you will build a secret holocron message into it. That message is the chase scene from Attack of the Clone, where Obi-Wan is fleeing Boba Fett through the asteroid field. So today, we're going to work on the asteroids. As you can tell, they're very fancy origami models. You might have stumbled across these in the past. And the Jedi Starfighter, which sits on a little pedestal, so it has a little bit of height to it. Yesterday, we made all the panels. I'm going to go over those real quick, how to make one of the panels, in case you missed that. The first thing, if you want to do this in this format, is to print out the free PDF that you can find either on my website or at the Forcefest. We should have a link for it here in, do you have it already up? Not yet, but there'll be a link in the messages any second now for how to get to that piece of paper and print it out. There it is. So this is what you're gonna make. All these little tabs pop into these little pockets and keeps it closed. As I said yesterday, we made one box. We're going to go over real quick how to make one of the panels. In that PDF, you will find the directions for how to make the panels, but I'm going to show you real quick as a refresher. Once you've made all 6 panels and made them into a box so all the tabs and all the pockets fit, then you want to glue each of these panels together. And this is yesterday's after being glued. We'll come back to that in a minute. But first, after you print the directions, you'll also need to print out 6 of this page and then cut along the black line and the black edge. Each one of these will make one side of the box. We'll also print out this piece of paper. And that was the rocky thingy, so we'll make asteroids out of this. We'll make the Jedi Starfighter. It's proportioned so it fits in the box, and this little black bar will be a stand for the Jedi Starfighter. Come back to that in a few minutes. But a real quick refresher for those of you who weren't here yesterday. Again, the directions are here, so you can follow the directions to make the rest of the 6 panels. But in a nutshell, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. You're going to fold face up, side to side. And the 2 secrets to origami. Always be as accurate as you can. Notice that this edge is lined up, these corners are lined up, these edges are lined up, so be as accurate as you can. If you just kind of go like that and think, well, that should be good enough, it's not going to work properly. So line it up. Second secret is creasing. Don't just do that. Paper will not crease properly. You need to crease it hard. So run your fingernail along the crease until that crease is flat. All right, after you've gone side to side, fold it top to bottom. When it comes to the Jedi Starfighter, I'm going to do it a lot slower so people can follow along. This one is just a refresher for what you missed yesterday, if you missed yesterday. Crease. unfold, turn over. This corner goes to this corner. And when you do that, you want to make sure you get right to the corner. It's a sharp crease over here. This edge lines up with this edge here. Just got that. Crease that. Again, remember, always crease. That's the secret to origami. Accuracy and creasing. That's not terribly accurate. There we go. There. All right. Now we have two diagonals, one horizontal vertical. Collapse this into a water bomb base. And then reinforce the creases, make sure they're all lined up nice and neat. We're going to make the pocket, so you're going to take the top flap and fold it over. Take this corner, fold it to the top. And then fold this edge down. And that forms a pocket that you can use to hold everything together. The same thing on the other side. We'll lift the flap over, all the way to the top. Bring the edge down. Fold that over. Starting to look like a holocron side. Turn it over. Now we're going to work on this. Fold this over just like you did before. Bring it to the top. Bring this down, but I want to make sure this lines up because we're going to do something a little bit differently with this one. Now you're going to unfold this, lift it straight up and down, spread it open, and then fold it and make sure this edge and this edge line up with the two outer edges, or the outer edge here and the straight up and down line. Crease that. You now have a black tab and a white tab. You have a pocket right here. You're going to fold this over, putting this white tab in this pocket. Takes a little maneuvering. You can do this, it's not that hard. All right, maybe you can do it. I apparently can. There we go. All right, slide it all the way in. Wiggle it back and forth until this all sits nice and comfortable. You can see it's in there, everything's flat. Turn it over, we're going to do the same thing on this side. Hold it up. Put all of it down. Squash this flat. Line it up, crease. And this white pocket goes into this, or white tab goes in the white pocket. And you've made one of the 6 holocron sides that you need to make. So you have 2 pockets on top, 2 tabs on the bottom. And each one of these tabs will fit into one of the pockets of the other side of the piece of paper. You're going to assemble the box. And then once you've got all the tabs in all the pockets, there's always one that tries to make me look bad. Get in there. Once you've got them all in, and then carefully open the box up again. Oops. That wasn't that careful, was it? Carefully open the box and lay it out, leaving all 6 connected. But now you know which tabs to glue in place. So at this point, I'd slide this out, put a drop of glue, slide it back in, slide this out, drop of glue, etc., etc. So you have this. All right, that was our yesterday project. So now we're going to start the new Jedi Starfighter and the asteroid and the stand that go inside this box. All right, find this piece of paper and one of these tools. We don't use this tool in origami, so we're not doing origami yet. We're going to prepare our paper. There's a little square of paper. I'm going to cut this out, but what I'm going to use to fold is this bigger one so you can actually see more of the detail. But this is the size of what you need. So cut out the rectangle. All right. Now, you'll need to cut out this little black bar. Just cut along the edges of the black bar. Put that aside for now. Cut out the rest of the Jedi Starfighter paper. Set that aside. And now we're going to just cut out some paper for the rocks. This doesn't have to be terribly accurate. So one of those, one of those, one of those. Yeah. Cut them roughly in squares. And again, it doesn't have to be terribly accurate. All right, now we have our asteroid paper. We don't need this tool anymore. Put that aside. Let's see. Let's start with an asteroid. This is a very complicated model to fold. So be very careful how you do this. You want to make sure that you hold the paper like that, and then do that. I may have to show this a couple times. A lot of people get stuck on making these little rocks. So one more time. I'm obviously joking here. You'll crumple up and make hopefully roughly three-dimensional rocks. And try and keep the white hidden on the inside. So that's why I fold it starting from upside down and kind of bring the edges in. Yeah, I'll just do 4 and then we'll move on to the next model. All right, so eventually you'll do all of those rocks. We may not use all of the rocks, we don't know. All right, the black piece of paper is going to be the stand for the Jedi Starfighter. Turn it over to the white side, fold this in half. Fold that. Then you're going to fold the 2 outer edges to the center. Like that. And then fold that in half. Then what I do is I overlap one over the other, make a little triangle, like that, and then just kind of squeeze the 2 edges, or all the edges together, like this, and I've made the stand that the Jedi Starfighter will sit on. Later on, we'll put a little bit of glue to glue the fighter, and then a little glue to glue to the holocron. Leave that aside for now. All right. Finally, we're going to work on the Jedi Starfighter itself. Before I do, I just want to put out a reminder out there that there is a hidden Easter egg, and if anyone stumbles across it, you will get a free signed autographed copy of my book. And as one little hint, it has to do with a blue diamond. All right, now, again, I'm going to use a bigger piece of paper so you can see the details. But you'll notice that the two papers are exactly the same. You're going to start with make sure you know where the center line of this paper is. So it's the one that goes here, symmetrical through the white bar in the middle. You turn it over, and hopefully you can kind of see where that is. But again, I've got it going this way, not this way. From here, I'm going to fold this in half. And this is going to be a mark fold. So we don't really want to put this crease in too sharply. We want to be able to find this crease line, but it's going to be visible at the end, so you don't really want to have a big fold running through your model. I can see that line right here. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. Now we're going to trisect this corner and this corner. In geometry, that is a minor miracle. In origami, it's pretty easy. We're going to take this corner and fold it onto this line, and the crease starts right at this corner here. So carefully, very carefully, put that corner on the line, and you'll notice that I'm not lined up here, so I'm going to slide it a little further up the line. And that's actually pretty accurate. That was lucky first shot. Once you've got that lined up, and this comes to the corner here, then you can go ahead and crease this here. That first mark fold is the only one that we're going to do gently. All the rest we're going to do as nice, sharp creases. All right. Now you're going to take this new edge that you just made right here. Actually, you didn't make this edge, but this edge here, fold it onto this new edge that you just made. That way. Again, you want to try and keep your point as sharp as possible at this end, and make sure you are accurately lined up all the way down the edge of the paper. Now, I know it's going to be a little more challenging because you're using a smaller piece of paper, so take your time, and I'll try and go a little bit slowly. That's the first edge here. Oops, I got a rock. Now we're going to take this edge and fold it onto that same edge we just made. Like that. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold this over to there and line this up here. All right, so now we've actually folded this into sixes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to turn it around. Make sure you're using the opposite corner, not one of the sides, and we're going to repeat that process. This corner goes there, this corner, et cetera, et cetera. So fold this over. And you'll notice that where this first crease intercepts that horizontal crease, if you point that point right on that crease, if your first one was accurate, this will automatically line up the whole model. All right, now bring this edge to this edge here. And then this edge over here. And then finally bring this back over. All right, I'm going to pause real quick here just to let everyone catch up for anyone who's working on this. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions about origami, Star Wars origami, anything we've done today, or anything else? I know there was a couple of other panels. We may have some late joiners, but I hope everyone's keeping up. And if you're watching through Facebook and YouTube, remember, we're doing this for Make-A-Wish. So please donate to Make-A-Wish. We're trying to raise, I think our goal is $3,000 for the weekend, and it's actually getting a great response. And anything you donate through the Vcoin and Get Vocal will be matched by 33% from the Get Vocal people. So that is a great deal. Request to talk about my book. So real quick, started writing the book in the summer of, I want to say, 98. No, it was earlier than that, 96. Anyway, it was a long time ago. How do you come up with new origami designs? Actually, I'll talk about that because that's a lot more fun to talk about. Sometimes it's accidental, sometimes a request from somebody, and sometimes I plan it and it takes years. Slave One, one of my all-time favorites, is a very, very complicated model. It's in my first book, along with a special paper. Let's see here real quick. Should be, there it is. So this model, the hard part about it was these tiny struts that lead out to these wings, which are actually separated from the hull. So they're not cheating by just putting a flap over. Were very hard to come up with because I wanted them to be little tiny slender wing struts, but they had to leave enough paper for the wings. This design took me 7 years to get right. There's a skyhopper, which is going to be in book number 2. A true story, no one ever believes me, but I swear it's true. I was working on it at work. I used to be an air traffic controller before I retired. And I was on my break, and I was trying to figure out how to make a skyhopper, and I was not getting it quite right. And we had equipment failure, so everyone was called back from their breaks. So they're running back from my break, and when I was on my way back, I took what I had been working on, which was a failed attempt, shoved it in my pocket. Ran back there, we worked out the situation, everything was fine, and when I went back into the break room and pulled this thing out of my pocket, somehow when I jammed it in, it twisted exactly right, and those are the creases I needed to make the skyhopper, so that was just dumb luck. Anyway, hopefully we all have these things divided into 6 now. And we're going to make 2 diagonals. So from here, oh, there's my cat. No, sweetheart. Nope, those are claws. No claws. Good girl. Sorry about that. All right, so we're going to fold on the diagonal from side to side. Make sure your corners line up. Here and here. Unfold that. Yes, the Force was with me that day. I sometimes say that I have Star Wars good karma. I do enough good stuff with Star Wars, and it rewards me from time to time. I'm going to fold this in half. Again, same thing. You want to make sure these edges are all lined up, and then fold that back. All right, we have done all of the pre-creasing that we need to do. So this is going to be the upper fuselage. This is going to be the cockpit. I don't know if you can hear the cats. They're not happy that I'm not paying attention to them. They are jealous cats. All right, so turning this over, making sure that the white parts are pointed towards you. I'm going to take one flap and fold it in, from the top, one flap, fold it in on the crease that's already there. Not adding any new creases, you're going to use that one diagonal crease that you already made. And you'll notice if you do it right, you have the two Republic logos on the Jedi Starfighter visible. Now we're going to fold on this crease again that already exists. Just fold this down, point to point, like that. All right, hopefully everyone's up to that. Now we're going to take this edge and fold it onto this edge here. So this corner is going to sit right on that corner when you're done. Again, remember, whenever you make a crease, make sure it's accurate and make sure your crease nice and sharp. All right, from here, unfold. Now we can do the same thing. You take this edge and fold it onto that one there. This one is actually a simplified version of the Jedi Starfighter, leaving out some steps that would actually create the white bar if you were using standard origami paper. This model is going to be available with the custom paper in Star Wars Origami 2, which comes out in October. I'm very excited. That only took me 8 years to get published. Star Wars Origami, the first book, only took me 12 years to get published. That's what perseverance is all about. All right, now we're going to do what we call a rabbit ear fold. So we're going to use the crease we just made to the center, this crease to the center, and this crease here. Pinch the paper upward, bring the two outer edges together, and then roll this up. So now it's a triangle pointing straight up and down. Fold it to either side, it doesn't matter which side. Crease, and fold it to the other side. You're actually reinforcing creases. So now you have a point that sticks straight up and down. Now we're going to do a squash fold. Oops, I lied. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to move this to one side, take this edge of this triangle and fold it straight up and down the center line of the model. Crease that. Unfold. Now we're going to lift this straight up. Put your finger and spread the two back layers apart. And then push down on the spine of that triangle. And this will lie flat into a diamond. This is going to become the cockpit. Now, there's a crease that's already under the edge here and a crease that's under the edge here. We're going to use those two creases. We're going to put a new crease that goes from this point to that point. We're going to take this whole thing and lift it up, pinch so these two edges come together, and lay this triangle down along the center. It's going to make a little kite. So I'll show that again. So this edge and this edge are going to become, or are going to crease. This edge and this edge are going to fold together and meet in the back. And the whole thing is going to lay flat as a kite. And you want this point to be right down the center line. Like that. Now, we're going to take this point from this corner to this corner. And we're going to fold this all the way back over, changing its color to white. Then we're going to pinch the two outer edges and fold this in half so they meet in the middle. And if you look, now that little logo is sitting right on the outer edge of the cockpit. So that's what it should look like from the side. All right, laying the cockpit to one side or the other, take this point and fold it to the end of the color here. About like that. Give this a crease. Unfold that point. And again, at the scale, smaller scale of paper, so it's going to be a little bit tricky, but it's not impossible. Turn the model over, open up either one of the little pockets here, and you're going to take that crease that you just made, you can see it here, fold in on that crease, close it back up. That is the finished cockpit of the Jedi Starfighter. All right, hopefully you have that done. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. In the meantime, one more time, I'm going to put out that there is that hidden Easter egg. And whoever donates to the V coin today, I'm going to randomly choose one person. I'll pull a name out of a hat of the people who donate using the V coin to make a wish, and they will get a free copy of my book. So there's some incentive for you. All right, now that we have this, we're going to take this edge of paper, fold it over on the crease that already exists. Then we're going to do the same thing, folding it again over on the crease that already exists. Just like that. And then, same thing on this side. We can fold on the existing crease the first time. And then again, fold it on the crease for the second time. And you can see the little, I think it was R7, D4, R7? I think it was R7. Anyway, there's a little droid there. I'm going to turn this over, and you'll notice that there's an edge here. And if you look over here, there's kind of a pocket back here underneath the bottom edge. We're going to take these two white triangles and fold them. There's a lot of layers here, so just be patient and kind of manhandle the paper if you have to. We're going to fold them even with this edge in the back. Unfold them, and then put them inside this pocket, and that will help lock the model closed. And this is the simplified Jedi Starfighter. So now you have a way to escape Jango Fett when he's chasing you through an asteroid field. So speaking of asteroid fields, let's figure out how we're going to put all this together. So you're going to take your little stand here, or your box, and the first thing you're going to do is figure out which of these panels you want to put your Jedi Starfighter. There is no hard rules for this. I use these holocrons, I call them, to make all kinds of scenes. So if I put this one down, you'll notice the tabs are actually in slightly different places. So there's also no correct way of doing that. Or I should say no set way of doing that. So the Jedi Starfighter is going to have to sit on an angle in one of the panels. Put it on any. I chose the middle one for this one. You're going to take this little piece here. I should have made a little Jedi Starfighter. I didn't think of that. Shame on me. And you're going to take a little bit of glue this edge here, and then glue it to the bottom of your Jedi Starfighter, like that. And then glue that to the base of your box, right here. Once that's glued, and you give it a couple seconds to set, now comes the very slightly tricky part. Gluing the rocks in place. So I start with the one I start with this one. I just put 3 random rocks, asteroids, in place. Now remember that this needs to close up, and all of these need to sit at 90-degree angles. So you'll notice that this part of the Jedi Starfighter actually fills this space on this rock, on this panel, when the box is closed. So make sure you don't put any rocks here. When you go to figure out where the rocks go, hold this upright, and now you can see from this angle that underneath here is clear, this is clear, but not over here. So you can glue 3 rocks in place there. Once you've let those set, when you do the next set, you bring this panel up to figure out where they're going to go. Same thing, you've got a rock over here, which would interfere with a rock over here. I've got the back end of the Jedi Starfighter, so I have to make sure that there's nothing placed on this panel here. And I have to make sure that no rocks conflict from side to side here. So I glued a rock here, here, and here. This one's going to slide under when the panel comes up, and these 2 are going to go over. And this one, and nothing over here. Sorry, this one, there's nothing that interferes with that rock, as you can see. And just keep following this procedure. So this one I kind of goofed. You'll notice it just barely touches my Jedi Starfighter. I should have moved it. I tried. There's a mistake there. Shame on me. I didn't do that very well. But none of the other rocks conflict. And then the same thing with these panels and these panels. Once you've got it all assembled, you're finished. So this is a Jedi holocron. I've made a few other types. I don't have any pictured handy, but I've done the final scene in Star Wars with the trench run with Luke's X-Wing here, Vader's TIE Fighter here, his 2 Wingman TIE Fighters here. This panel I moved over and I put the Millennium Falcon getting ready to hunt and shoot at the 2 Wingmen and Vader spinning off. I have done the opening scene from Revenge of the Sith with the 2 Jedi Starfighters from Episode 3, the Droid Starfighters, and the ARC-170. I did the asteroid chase, so I had 2 Star Destroyers, 3 TIE Fighters, and the Millennium Falcon, and more of these advanced rocks. I did the droid sail, so I had the Jawa Sandcrawler, a couple of R2 units, Luke's Land Speeder, a couple of Jawas. So it's completely up to you, your imagination, run wild. If you don't want to do a Star Wars one, I've also done a house and a couple of flowers and some rabbits. I did a Halloween one where I had some bear trees and some crows and some jack-o'-lanterns. And it's a cute little project. What's fun about it is it sits there and it's got that secret hidden in it. So it looks just like a nice, pretty box. And you surprise people by opening it up and showing off your Jedi holocron. So that is the finished project. That is how to do it. Hopefully, you'll be able to follow that. I have some YouTube tutorials on how to make some of my other models. In my first Star Wars Origami book, there's 36 projects. The second book is going to have another 36, and I've created almost 100. So the ones that I didn't put into book number 2, which comes out in 2 months, some of the ones from book 1, and anything that wasn't in either of those books, I'm making tutorials for. So there's dewback lizards, there's the snow speeder. In fact, I should do one of these with some snow speeders and some walkers and scout walkers. But there's the snow speeder, there's Baby Yoda, there's Mandalorian's helmet, the Razor Crest, the Mandalorian ship. I've got Ahsoka Tano's face. There's 25 or 20 or 25. I forget how many. Anyway, there's a bunch of them on my YouTube channel, including the Jedi Starfighter that I folded. Technically, I didn't fold it. At Celebration 3, I actually used a piece of paper. I had to make the paper, but it was 20 foot by 20 foot, or for the metric people out there, roughly 7 meters by 7 meters, and painted it more or less with these colors. and I pulled a bunch of volunteers out of the audience. I think I had 7 or 8, and I basically said, all right, you guys take that edge, fold it over there, hold that in place, line it up, you 3 crease that edge, bring that back over, and we folded a 20-foot piece of paper. It was amazing. Then we did 4 models that weekend, including Jabba the Hutt life size. That was so cool. The 2 of them were filmed, the Naboo Starfighter and the Jedi Starfighter. You can find those videos on my YouTube channel as well. They're fun to watch. It's amazing to see that paper that size. I had to invent whole new processes just to fold the paper. If I want to pick this piece of paper up and turn it over, piece of cake. If this is 20-foot square, you can't just pick up a 20-foot piece of paper. It doesn't work. So I had to invent ways to manipulate the paper. That was a lot of fun. So anyway, that is the project. Are there any questions or any comments about origami, Star Wars origami? One other thing, if you make one of my models through a YouTube tutorial or one of my books, I love it when people send me pictures of them with the model. If you send me one, I will add it to my guest artist page. Been doing that for years, and people hold up their model. I'll put your name and what the model is on the guest artist page. So I see we still have like 15 minutes left, 20 minutes left. Show off the baby Yoda. Hold that phone. I'll pull him out of the box. So this I invented while watching I think it was the 2nd episode of The Mandalorian. And this is the custom paper you can print from my website. Again, it's free. You just go to my YouTube tutorial, follow the links, and the tutorial will take you through this step by step. It's fairly complicated. This is one piece of paper, and if you're using just origami paper, it'll all be white except for Yoda's face and ears, which will be the color of the paper. If you're using the custom paper, everything gets painted, so it looks more like Baby Yoda. But this, I think the tutorial is about 40 minutes. There's a lot of pre-creasing. And then once you've done all the creasing and the pre-creasing, it kind of comes together in just a few minutes. So this tutorial is there. This is one that was suggested by one of the viewers who said, make the V-wing. I thought, yeah, I could do that. That doesn't look too hard. So if you think about it, I started with the X-wing. And I thought, well, that's kind of cheesy if I just take an X-wing and fold the wings straight up. So I revamped some of the folding process. I gave the cockpit, I made sure the cannons were located on the sides the way they're supposed to. And thanks to, I forget who made the suggestion. But anyway, thanks to him and his suggestion, I've done a YouTube tutorial for the V-wing. These are Scout Walkers. And you'll notice the folding process is the same for both. This is the Empire version, and this is the Marauder version from The Mandalorian. The only difference is the paint. And again, you can print these. All of these are available on my website for the tutorials. Each one comes with where you can print out custom paper for the models. There's the Mandalorian ship, the Razor Crest. And there's 25 others, 20 others. I'm going to be adding roughly 2 a month. And I have a request for the porg. Do I have a porg handy? I believe I do. There we go. So here is an advanced porg. So he's got the little wings, you can see the eyes, the little porgy mouth, and little porgy feet and the wings. There's also a bobblehead porg. So it's 2 pieces of paper, a little body and then a caricature kind of head of the porg, and it sits on the origami body, and then it kind of, you can rock it around. It's kind of papery, but it's kind of cute. Here's one that is in the next book. It is Rey in her speeder, on her speeder bike. This one's fairly complicated. There will not be a tutorial for it, at least not for a couple of years after the book comes out. But if you use plain origami paper, the bike itself comes out brown, and Rey will be white. So she's got arms, legs, a little bit of a head. Because you're using the custom paper in the book, they print it on both sides, so it kind of loses that effect. And that's my stand for holding it up. But that is the ship. I mean, the Rey's speeder. And I came up with this at Celebration. 2 celebrations ago. I was sitting in Skywalking through Neverland after party panel, and for whatever reason, this just popped into my head how I could make this work. A question: do you have a favorite ship fighter that you've done? Ask a parent who their favorite child is, right? It depends on what is the situation. Like, my favorite model of all time is probably the life-size Jabba the Hutt. On my website, you can find links to it. It is an amazing model. In fact, do I have it? You might be able to see it in the icon for my Get Vocal picture. It's definitely on the, I think it's the icon for my YouTube channel. But anyway, it was a life-size 20-foot piece of paper. The audience did the folding, and it looks so cool. Standard origami model, I would say my favorite is probably the Millennium Falcon. That one I did the tutorial for, and I added the rectenna. So if you get the book, the Star Wars Origami book, book 1, the Falcon is in it, but not for adding the rectenna. So the tutorial takes the next couple steps to make the rectenna on the model. And that was a nice little addition. Another one of my favorites, even though it's fairly simplistic and I could have done a better job, was my very first Star Wars design, is the X-Wing. That's still near and dear to my heart because it was the first one I came up with. So Amanda said she would send pictures of her first attempts. I would love to see those. I really would. Any other questions? I think we still have, yes, we still have about 10 minutes left. Questions or comments? And again, a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation through Bitcoin, and you will get a free copy of my book to one random participant. How did I get started in origami? Oh boy, that's a great story. All right. When I was 4 years old, my mother would take us to the public library, pick a bunch of books off the shelf, and read them to us. That was our big day out because we were very poor growing up. And one of the books that she picked off of the shelf was an origami book. She thought it was a Japanese storybook. So when she opened it up, there were directions on how to make various things. And one of them was this very simple paper cup. It is, what, 4 folds, 5 folds? Here to here. So this little cup will actually hold water. You can drink from it. It's very simple. And obviously, it's not going to stand because it's very flat. But I was fascinated by this cup at 4 years old, so I learned how to make it. Well, I brought it to the dinner table that night and said, Mom, I made my own little cup. I made this. I want to drink my juice from this cup because I made it. And she was so polite. She's like, no, honey, it's not going to work. It's only paper. It'll fall apart. You can't stand it. So and, I was 4 years old. So I was thinking, all right, I'll just make it better tomorrow and try again. So the next night, I made another paper cup. I said, I made the cup, Mom. I'm juicing the cup. And she's like, honey, no, it's not. This went on for about a week. She got fed up with the stupid paper cup, so she bought me a book so I would learn anything else. I've been doing origami since then. The Star Wars Origami part, of course, I am a huge Star Wars fan. I've been since the movie came out in '77. I was 13 at the time. But I didn't combine the two until many years later. I think it was 90, it might have been 96, 99, something like that. Anyway, whatever it was. I was teaching a bunch of kids how to make a penguin. It was a first grade class. So I was showing them how to make an origami penguin, a very simple one. And for those of you who are Star Wars fans, I don't know if there's any in the audience today. I'm guessing there might be one or two. Anyway, picture a B-wing. So the B-wing has got that long cockpit, stubby body, cannon at one end, little tiny stubby wings. Very similar to a penguin. And as I'm driving home, I'm literally thinking, the B-wing and the penguin. I don't know how that connected in my head, but I thought, I could make a B-wing. So I pulled a piece of paper. I'm not kidding. As I'm driving down the freeway, I live in the middle of nowhere, so it wasn't that crazy dangerous, but I would not suggest doing this yourself because it's a really stupid idea. But anyway, I put my knee on the steering wheel and I'm driving down the freeway and I folded myself a B-wing. I was so excited. So I set myself a goal of making an X-wing by the end of the month. A lot of failed attempts, and I did it. I made a pretty simple X-wing and was very excited about it. I met my goal. I was so happy. And it probably would have died right there. But a few days later, my friend came down to visit, and we went to visit her friend, who is a property master in Hollywood. He's a huge Star Wars fan. So I said, oh, well, let me show you this little B-wing I can make. So I folded the B-wing. He thought it was awesome. He said, what else can you make? I said, well, I can make an X-wing. And I folded up that. He said, this is really cool. What else can you do? I said, that's it. And then he said, you should write a book. And I said, I can't do that. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do the diagramming. I don't know how to invent the models. I know nothing about the process. He said, you can teach yourself. So I took it home, took the idea home, and it took me 2.5 years to come up with about 20 models or so. And then I started contacting Lucasfilm saying, I've got this book, I've got these diagrams, I want to blah, blah, blah. And for 12 years, they said no. They turned me down every single time. But they would say there is a museum event over at the LA Coliseum. If you would like a Star Wars event, if you would like to teach the public how to do some of your models, I'd be happy to have you come. I said, okay, cool. So I would show up and I'd pay whatever it cost for papers and materials, and I'd teach the public for free how to make the Jedi fighter, the lightsabers, and a bunch of other things. Afterwards, I would call Lucasfilm and say, hey, I had like 3,000 people show up this weekend and make models, and they were very excited. They want to see the book. And Lucasfilm would say, no, we're not going to let you do the book. No one's ever going to be interested in that. But there's an event in Boston. If you'd like to fly out to Boston and do that, you can come join us at the museum event there. So I would put together a crew and I'd go to Boston and I'd do the same thing. I'd show them, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd say, okay, we had 2,000 people show up. I've got a petition. These are all the people who want to see it as a book. And Lucasfilm would say, no, we're not going to let you have the rights because we don't think it'll ever sell. But there's another event coming up at a celebration over here. And I did this for about 5 years. I don't know how Tom Engelberger got his book, The Mysterious Case of Origami Yoda, published, but he did. And it was an international bestseller. People loved it. And Lucasfilm called me up and said, are you still interested in doing a Star Wars Origami book? Well, what do you think? So I said yes. So it only took 12 years of constantly hounding them, and they finally let me have the book. I'm proud to say it's now it's just past 8 years old. It's been out for 8 years. And this summer, for the first time, it wasn't the best-selling origami book of all time. So it's been slowly sliding down the scale, but it's still way up there, and I'm very proud of it. It's been translated into 5 different languages, I think, at this point. And it only took another 8 years to convince Workman Publishing that it'd be worth doing a second book. So that one comes out in October, and it'll probably be another 8 to 10 years before book number 3 comes out. Anyway, that is my story. So yes, it was worth the wait and the hustle. If I was into this for the money, I probably would have given it up a long time ago, but because it wasn't about the money, it was about sharing my work and seeing my name on an officially licensed Star Wars thing, that was my driving goal. So because of that, I was willing to put up with 12 years of, no, it'll never work. No, it'll never work. And now I have to be polite, so I can't just say, see, I told you. I have to go, yes, see, thank you. It's so great to finally be working with you. Anyway, so that is my story. I have an origami club. The question is, do I have an origami club? I am a member of several organizations. One of the biggest ones is Origami USA. So if you look that up, you will find people from around the world are members of Origami USA. We have annual conventions, and we get together through Zoom meetings and invent models and teach each other things that we've made, show off our newest things. Sometimes we talk about paper making process or which paper works best in which situations. There's a link from Origami USA. There's also the British Origami Society. There's a Japanese. It's big in South America, and I don't know what their organization is, but there's a lot of overlap. So people go, you'll be members of several of these. We do Zoom meetings. In fact, I'm missing one right now, but I thought I'd rather do this than we didn't have our weekly Zoom meeting. So I'm going to get yelled at next week when I didn't show up this week. Origami has been around for quite a long time, and one of the problems that I run into is people think of origami as almost like finger painting. It's a very simplistic, just a couple of creases. But if you look up some origami and put in like advanced origami, you will see amazing things made from a single piece of paper. Right now, there's a trend of doing anime characters. So you'll see armored knights with spikes on their helmets and scales in their costumes and holding spears and wings and belts and scabbards. And it's all from one single piece of paper. No cutting, no gluing, just creasing. And they're coming up with absolutely astounding models. So quick look, Google search for advanced origami. You'll see stuff that'll blow your mind. If you go on YouTube and just type in origami tutorials, there are thousands of them. You can make anything from Star Wars to Harry Potter, dinosaurs, birds, flowers, animals of every kind, characters. It's an amazing thing. I encourage you to look into it. I love the art. It only takes a piece of paper, so it's not an expensive art. And just like any other art form, don't expect to pick up a piece of paper and fold an incredibly advanced model. People get frustrated when they can't make the hard stuff right off the bat because they underestimate what origami is. But it would be like me handing you paints and brushes and you expect to just paint Michelangelo painting the first time out. Practice, perseverance. It's fairly simple. It's very cheap. You can use any paper. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I think our time is about up. Yep, it's about up. So again, thank you for attending my origami. I would love to see pictures. Hopefully you've learned enough to be able to put one of these together. You can again find the PDF that has all the custom paper when you print it out to make this project. And thank you for sitting through my meeting, my tutorial here. And don't forget, again, Forcefest. Enjoy the Forcefest and donate through Vcoin or donate to Make-A-Wish Foundation. It is a wonderful charity.